Hello everybody, welcome back to this season of Us podcast. This is episode 24 and today we're just gonna get straight into it. Y'all already know the drill. Grab your water, your tea, your coffee, your tequila, your whatever your personal preference is, and let's just get started. Okay, so I know it's been, I think like 2 weeks maybe, or maybe 3 weeks since I posted on here. I've been so distracted with Vlogmas on my regular channel, which if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna put it in the description below. It's been so much fun and it's just been keeping me consistent, but not on this channel, which kind of sucks. But I want to kind of talk about personal development when you feel like you don't need it. So what I mean by that is I am somebody who tends to, really invest in myself and really do personal development and like journal every single day, pray every single day, do things that make me feel better about myself and make my mental health just like 10 times better. But I usually tend to do those things on days that I'm not doing so well. So when my mental health is kind of down in the dumps and I'm just like not wanting to get out of bed and I just don't really like know what to do with myself and I want to feel better, that's when I want to do personal development. That's when I want to do affirmations and gratitude and take a bath and, do all like the facial things, all that stuff, right? But what I've realized is that when life is going really good, I convince myself that I don't need to do it as consistently, which in a way, obviously when you're going through it, a lot of constant or consistent mental health practices do help you because you're obviously going through a rough time in your life. But what people don't realize is that personal development is an everyday thing, whether or not you're having a really bad day or a really great day. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, like lately life has been so good, like no complaints, everything's just so amazing, and I just am so beyond blessed, so beyond grateful, and I feel like I'm just evolving into a better person. And obviously I've been practicing personal development for a couple of years now, and it's just something that I do every single day, whether it's intentionally or not. But journaling is something that I have tried to put into every single day because it genuinely makes me feel better. Like I love to do it because I have that alone time by myself, and I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I journal and I'm in my own headspace. I'm listening to music that makes me feel happy and alive, and I'm just journaling what I think, what I feel, how the day has been, how the month has been, and doing all that good stuff. But lately I haven't been journaling because I don't feel like I need it. And I wanted to talk on this because I feel like a lot of the times we stray away from things that we know make us better because we're doing really good at the moment. But then you kind of like build up that need for personal development because you're going so many days without it that when you start to feel a little bit in the funk, in a weird mood, like a little bit depressed, a little bit just not yourself, then you wait till you get to the point where you really need to focus on yourself, and then it's like it's not going back to zero or square one, but it's like, man, now you have to work 10 times harder to get better because you waited so long to need personal development. But I want to get to the point where I just want it. Like I crave to have me time. I crave to journal. I crave to just love myself every single day, which sounds funny because you would think prioritize yourself and express that you love yourself every single day. But it's hard. It is harder than it looks. And I feel like somebody who promotes self-love and personal development, it's really healthy for me to also show this side of me because I struggle with it every single day as well. And I think that it's such an important factor to your day because what I've noticed, obviously, if you guys can't tell, it's snowing outside. I don't think you can actually see it, but it's snowing. It's been snowing for the past week, and it's gloomy, it's all gray skies, and I work at nights most of the time. So during the day, I just never want to get out of bed because I'm just like, it's so cozy and I just want to sleep and I want to do nothing. But when you do that, you get into this routine of you just want to be in bed all day and you have no motivation to do anything, and you're just kind of in this weird slump. And then I started like laying there and I was like, oh man, I miss journaling. Like I really need to journal because I'm starting to feel anxious and I'm starting to feel sad and I'm starting to think about all the stuff that I haven't yet healed from. But then I started to like question myself, like, Daisy, why the heck did you stop? Like, why did you let it get to this point? Like, why are you in this little funk now when I know I could have solved this issue by just being consistent with my journaling and being consistent with affirmations or gratitude or literally just anything. Also, if you guys hear loud noise in the background, I am super sorry. There's construction where I live, so it's kind of loud. But it's just been like kind of a roller coaster of emotions because I know what I need to do, and it's that situation where like you know what you need and you know what you want, but it's like, are you going to do it or not? And I feel like, oh my god, I cannot multitask, or I can't concentrate with this noise. I wonder if it actually sounds this loud. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay, I parked somewhere that's a little far away from the, well, not far away, but it's far enough from the construction that it's not overbearing. But as I was saying, I just think that personal development should be such a daily thing. Like, you know how every day you eat breakfast or you brush your teeth or you make your bed or whatever it is, right? It's a habit. I feel like personal development should be that way too, and it shouldn't be a pick and choose kind of thing. It's like, okay, you need it every single day and you're gonna want it eventually when you get used to it, that it should just be part of your everyday routine. But unfortunately, I've noticed, and with not just me, with a lot of people, I just noticed that, oh, there's like a bug in here. Oh, not a bug, a snowflake. But I've noticed that a lot of people do that too. Like when life is good, like the last thing you think is like, oh, let me do something to work on myself, because you feel like, oh, well, I'm already happy, you know what I mean? And it's definitely a hard lesson to learn, just because, you know, you want to be happy and you want to live in the moment and you want to like do all the things, but you have to remember like your mental health comes first. And not too long ago, I read this quote, or I don't remember where I found the quote, but it said something along the lines of, I couldn't heal because I wouldn't admit that I was hurt, or I couldn't accept that I was hurt, or something like that. And that hit so hard, because sometimes I think because I'm getting happier and I feel more like myself, that I have healed from every possible traumatic experience in my life, or every possible downfall, or whatever it is. And I feel like I've healed everything because in that moment, or in that week, or in that month, I feel so happy. But there's so much deep-rooted hurt and trauma, specifically for my life, that I know I need healing for. I know that it's a constant daily like grind of, okay, how are we going to heal your mind? How are we going to heal your inner child? How are we going to heal everything? But there are times in my life where I convince myself that I'm healed, that I'm just, I am the best version of myself, which I am, but there's always room for growth. There's always something that you can improve on, and something that you could heal from. Like there's days where I will remember things, or I will have something happen to me that kind of triggers me, that I didn't know was a trigger, that I didn't know was something I had to heal from. And I used to think that it was just when I was younger that I had to heal from stuff. But there's stuff as an adult that I've been through that it's like, man, like I didn't know that certain situation affected me that much, or that I cared so much for this person, or that I feel like I lost to so-and-so, or whatever it is, right? And I feel like when you're taught, or when you're kind of forced to block things out, you convince yourself that you've healed from certain scenarios in your life, but you don't even know the full scoop of things that have affected you throughout your life. But I think that personal development is such a huge thing, and such a beautiful thing too. And I know that for me personally, I love to journal. I love to do affirmations. I love to just listen to worship music, to pray, to do devotionals. Like the amount of times that I actually talk to God is beyond me. I used to feel kind of guilty because I was like, man, like I never pray anymore. Like I never go to church. I never do this and that. But I talk to God on a daily basis. Because I just am like, man, there's days where I am so lost. Like there's days where I don't know what I'm doing. I mean, there has to be more of you guys that think the same way, but there's days that I'm just like, I don't freaking know, like, what I want to do with my life. I don't know if I'm going on the right path. I don't know if the people in my life I'm going to know for more than a few months or a few years. I don't know. Like, I don't know anything. And at first, that used to intimidate me because I was like, man, like, I have no answers. And I would get so frustrated, and I would just be like, somebody, God, like, give me a sign that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But the older that I've been getting, the more that I embrace that uncertainty of what my life is supposed to look like, or if I'm doing the right thing, or do I have the right answers. I'm just kind of just living. I'm taking every single day at a time, and I'm being very just patient with myself, because one thing that I have learned is that nobody has anything figured out. Whether you are a doctor, whether you've been in school for 8 years, whether you are a teacher, or you work as a bartender, you work as a server, you work in construction, whatever it is, like, nobody has their whole life figured out. Like, everyone is genuinely just taking every single day at a time and seeing where the heck that gets us. And don't get me wrong, that comes with so much beauty. Like, there's so much amazing things that happens in that time of figuring life out. But I believe that I'm never going to have all the answers ever. And I'm growing to be okay with that, because the more that I stress about, am I doing better than I was? Or how is my future going to look like? Or am I going to end up this way or that way, or with this person or with this person? Or, you know, when am I going to have this happen in my life? Like, all the what ifs, it stresses me out so much that I forget to live in the now. And then I'm like thinking, like, man, like, I wasted so many days because I'm just so stressed about what I want to do, or where my life is going to be, or who I'm going to end up being, that I don't even realize that I'm wasting my life right now. And all that, like, I know that's kind of like a lot, but all of that goes down to doing personal development and mental work and all of that stuff, because the more time that you spend on yourself, and the more time you spend on your thoughts, and the more time that you spend just understanding the way that your mind works, and the way that you kind of self-sabotage on a daily basis, the more that you grow accustomed to knowing how to control your mind, and how to control your thoughts, and how to understand that you're taking every single day at a time, and how to understand that it's a daily task, it's a daily growth method. And lately, because I haven't been doing my personal development, whatever form that could be in, I've noticed that I've been stressing so much, because I'm just like, man, like, what is my next step? Like, is the job that I'm working right now, is it what I'm supposed to be doing? Is my life looking good? But, like, to who? Whose perspective am I waiting for? Whose validation am I trying to get? Who am I trying to impress? I feel like when you stray away from analyzing your thoughts, and you stray away from really digging deep into you and your soul, and what you are living and how you are existing, and when you stray away from that, you seek a lot of outsider validation or outsider approval, or you start to compare. That little comparison game starts to come in, and you're like, oh man, like, my life doesn't look like that, and I'm around the same age as this person, or, you know, I don't know if I'm doing this right, or I should be here in my life or there or whatever, and the comparing just starts to begin. And it's like, I really truly think it just stems from not understanding where you are and who you are. Because when you get to the point where you know, okay, for example, for me, you know, I know where I stand, I know my values, I know my boundaries, I know what makes me happy in life, and I know what doesn't. And you focus more on that than what you don't have, and what you haven't achieved yet, and where you are not right now. You find more joy in life because you understand that you have to be patient with yourself. And I think that, I don't know, I mean, life is a big, giant, just roller coaster. You know, there's ups and there's downs, and everyone's trying to tell you what to do, or how to make your life better, or how to not, you know, live a not so great life. And And even me, you know, on this podcast, I'm trying to give advice on what can make your everyday better or how to love yourself more. But it's like, at the end of the day, you know how to do that for yourself. It's just a matter of listening to your body and listening to your intuition and listening to your mind. And if any of you guys are like me, I used to only think that older people knew the right answers. I don't know why. I had this like sense of how would I explain? I would talk to anybody older, even if it's by a couple years or a few, like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I would have this insecurity of, oh man, like if we're having a conversation, they're automatically right because they have a few years on me. And I would put myself in this state of insecurity because I'm like, man, I'm not smart enough to conversate with this person. I'm not smart enough to answer that question because I had that fear of, what if my answer isn't smart enough? What if my answer isn't good enough? What if my answer is not what they want to hear? And I'm straying a little bit off topic, but I feel like that's so important because I held the approval of elders so highly that I didn't realize that what I have to say and the answers that I have and the topics that I have to speak on hold so much value because I learned those lessons. I went through that part of my life and I know what I'm speaking about. Just because somebody has a few years on me or just because somebody seems like they've experienced more than me does not mean that what I have to say isn't worth anything. And I don't know how that correlates to what I've been talking about, but I just feel like that's something that I struggle with a lot because that kind of makes me go into that state of like, oh man, I'm not doing too great. Oh man, like I don't know, like if what I have to say is worthwhile. And that's why, honestly, like true honesty right now, that's why I'm so inconsistent with this podcast, because some days I'm like, man, I have so much to say to all these people and so much wisdom to share. But there's other days where insecurity kicks in and I'm like, man, why in the world are people going to listen to a 22-year-old girl talking about life when they probably think I haven't even experienced 2 seconds of it? And those thoughts creep in because it's like, I have lacked personal development. I have lacked working on my mind and my mental state, that now I'm letting all these thoughts creep in and I'm not in control of my mind and my body. And now I'm insecure because I'm like, man, I don't even deserve this platform because I don't know what to teach you guys. I don't know what to share with you guys. But then I sit down and I realize I'm like, I'm just sharing my story, my experience, what I'm going through, and hopefully, like God willing, this affects somebody and somebody can get something out of my videos. Somebody can get something out of this episode and relate to me and understand, like, you know what? I know what she's going through and I get that. Or I am where she used to be and I needed this video. Even if it's just one person, no matter who it is. But when I start to not show myself so much love and I start to not prioritize my well-being, I convince myself that I'm not worth so much. And this episode is a little bit sad, a little bit down in the dumps, but this is just life. This is real raw content right here, because some days aren't great. Especially if you live in a state that is very gloomy and snowy and cloudy during the winter time. Like there's days where it's just like, man, like you just have so much time to think. And when you think, but you haven't really trained your mind to think in a positive way, you end up doing more harm to yourself with your thoughts than good. And as weird as it sounds, like you're probably thinking, well, how does journaling help you with your mind? It's not just the fact that, you're journaling your thoughts and you're telling whoever, this is what my life is looking like. But it's more of having that ability to analyze your thoughts, having that ability to understand, okay, I just vented on this sheet of paper and I'm going to reread it so I understand where my mental state is at and what can I do to help that. And sometimes I get caught up in a perspective of like, man, like working on yourself is so much work. Like, why do I have to journal every single day? Why do I have to do this? It's not fun. I get into that funk sometimes and I'm like, oh, I just don't want to do it. I'm just not going to do it. Whatever. Like, you know, one day passes, a week passes, 2 weeks pass, and I'm like, it's whatever. I don't really need to do it right now. And then I start to notice that I'm a little bit more sad, or a little bit not in control, or a little bit just like off. Not the, you know, crazy excited hyper Daisy that just loves to make everybody smile, and I'm just like just so filled with joy. That version of me starts to slowly like become more sheltered, more shy, more just not in the mood to do things, not in the mood to go out, not in the mood to just socialize, not to do anything. And then I'm like, oh man, working on yourself really does make or break you. And I don't know. It's been a journey. It has been a journey, and I just want to be real on here. I want to talk in a way where I am expressing myself and there's no judgment, there's no shame, because we're humans. As humans, we're gonna mess up. We're gonna let life distract us. We're going to feel like we don't need to work on ourselves because we're so happy, and it's just gonna be, there's gonna be cycles. But it comes down to, what are you gonna do with the way that you're living your life? How are you gonna stay happy? How are you gonna stay content? How are you gonna be filled with joy all the time and find good in every single day? Be grateful for something every single day. The other day I was watching Collateral Beauty, and I've seen this movie probably like a million times, and I always cry because it hits home, because there's times in our lives where everything seems like it's going wrong. Every single thing. And if you can relate to that, please let me know in the comments. But there are seasons in your life where literally you're just like, oh my God, give me a break. Like, please just give me something good, because everything is going wrong. And this movie just relates so much to me, because I'm like, even in the darkest of times, in the gloomiest of days, in the saddest of experiences, there's always something beautiful right in front of your face, but you just cannot realize it because of every bad thing going on right now. And I remind myself of that perspective, because sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life is not what you wanted it to be. But if you really take the time to take a step back out from your life and just observe, you will notice how much beauty and how much love and how much good is in your life. But it's up to you to be willing to see it, to be willing to embrace it, and to be willing to, you know, hold on to that good despite everything, every chaotic thing that's going on in your life. I think that out of all of the Christmases, all of the holiday seasons since 2019, you know, my Christmas seasons have been not the greatest. In terms of family, yes, it's been so amazing. My family is honestly the most amazing thing that I have in my life. They are my support system. They have always been there for me, and I know that no matter what, I can count on them to be there. But mentally, it's been a struggle for the last few years, and it's because I just didn't work on myself, and I didn't understand how much good there was in my life. I just focused on what I didn't have and what I wanted and what wasn't working out and what was something that I wanted so bad but I couldn't have, or whatever it was, right? Like these Christmases, these holiday seasons have just been a little rough, especially being alone. I mean, everyone can relate to holiday season being like the couple season where you're supposed to have, you know, this romantic partner. And for the last 3 years, I have not had that. Fortunately enough, this year is a little bit different, and I'm so blessed and so grateful, and I cannot be more happy, but I genuinely believe it's because I spent so many years alone, and I really had to dig deep on being happy with that, and being happy with myself, and being content that I have me, and I have my family, and I have the most important things in my life. And I think that's why God blessed me with something just so amazing, because I was patient. I was on a consistent daily loving spree, like I mentioned before, and I focused so much on myself because I knew that at the end of the day, I'm gonna have myself. At the end of the day, I'm gonna be the one that should love myself the most, more than anybody else. Because if I'm not that person, then I'm gonna expect that from other people, and sometimes those people will not be able to provide that for you. And then what happens? You feel like you're not worth loving, and you feel like you don't amount to somebody treating you with all the amounts of respect and all the amounts of worth and all the amounts of love. But truly what it comes down to is that you don't love yourself enough to see that value in yourself. But all I can say is that these last few years have been life-changing. Completely life-changing, and I am a totally different person than I was when I first started my self-love journey. And it brings me so much joy to see the people around me starting their self-love journey, and going through the seasons, going through the hard days and the good days and the crazy days. Like, it's so much fun to see people grow with me, because for the first time in my life, every single person that I surround myself with is growing, is wanting to change, is wanting to do better, is wanting to be the best versions of themselves. And I cannot be more happy, because I love that for everybody. I want everybody to dig deep inside themselves and just find who they truly are and love themselves, and want to do personal development every single day, and want to just spread love and spread just joy, and just like that hole that people have in their hearts, like that void, to fill that with themselves. And it's just such an amazing thing. And now, just as I'm doing this video, I'm just reflecting off of the last few years, and so much has changed. Like, today is December 13th, and this time any other year I would have been so sad, and would have stayed sad through the holiday season. And this year I have to remind myself of how much I'm grateful for, how much I have in my life that is such a blessing. And I'm not talking materialistic things at all. I'm talking about people and love and relationships and friendships, and just value, and just the people in my life and myself. And this video is a little all over the place, but when do I have a video that's not like this? But I just want to emphasize the value that comes from working on yourself, and the value. And I know that every day, as you're doing personal development, and you're waking up early, and you're journaling, and you're writing, and you're trying to analyze your thoughts, you don't see the growth every day, because you're with yourself all day. But if you start journaling today, or you start doing any form of personal development today, a year from now, look back on today and think, man, like, so much has changed. Change is such a beautiful thing, so just don't be afraid of it. Because when you do dive into personal development and self-love, you're gonna change. It's inevitable. But hopefully you get to the point where you want to change and you want to do better. And stop distracting yourself with things that are just making things worse. Because I'm guilty of distracting myself before, where I would be so sad or just so lost or so confused, and I would distract myself with people or things or places that I knew were temporary, I knew weren't going anywhere, but I still distracted myself because, hey, at least in the meantime, I'll have something to do. And when I can't emphasize enough how much more that hurt me than it did help me. Because I only found myself even more lost, and even more confused, even more sad, even more lonely. until I finally was like, you know what, Daisy, I am not like everybody in this world. I'm not gonna follow the crowd. I'm gonna cry it out. I'm gonna have my sad days. I'm going to feel every single emotion in my body. And I'm gonna feel it all out until I understand why I am the way that I am, what I need to heal from, and how I will continue to do better and grow and just be the best version of myself possible. And yes, of course, I'm still growing every single day, and there's things that I need to learn every single day, and I'm still trying to do better and trying to be the best version of myself. But if I could say one thing, even if any of you guys on here are not religious or spiritual or believe in anything, doesn't matter. Because, you know, whatever you believe in, I respect, and whatever you choose to live your life by, then of course, do as you please. But for myself, my personal experience, the one thing that has got me through the last few years, the last 5 years, honestly, 7 years, it's been a roller coaster, but God has genuinely been by my side through it all. And I don't know if you guys have seen my video on how I view God. I don't see it as, you know, this big man in the sky just staring down on us, but I feel it as an energy, and I feel God just through everything, like the snow, this weather, like the beauty and everything. And without God, I genuinely don't think that I would be who I am today, how strong I am today, how confident I am today, how loving and nurturing, and, you know, all the things. And what's funny is that if 3 years ago me would have been describing myself, I would have cringed myself out so bad by complimenting myself like this. But now I'm so confident in myself that I know that I have value. I know that those things are true about myself. Even this video for myself is therapeutic for me because I needed this. I needed that reminder that the past few years of growth were not a waste of time, and that every single day I'm learning to do better. Every single day I am growing into the best version of myself, and I might be in a little weird slump right now because of the weather or whatever it is, but I am worth getting back up again. And I am worth, you know, doing amazing things and influencing people, whether or not I feel like I have enough to say to influence somebody. But I needed this video, and hopefully one person on here needed it just as much as I did. If you guys get anything out of this video, just know that personal development and self-love is such a key factor to life. I promise you, if you do not understand your soul and your mind and your body, you will not be able to fulfill that happiness or that void inside yourself that you have been trying to fill. And it might sound cringy. Believe me, when I first started doing self-love things, I was like, this is so weird. Everyone around me would think that it's weird, and now it's just so ingrained in life that it's like, without it, I don't know how to function. I don't know how to go about every single day without loving myself, because I need it. That is the end of episode 24. I genuinely hope that this reaches people that needed to hear this today, and I want you guys to know that I'm going to try and be more consistent on this channel. It's been difficult for me, but that's not an excuse. I know that I can do it, and I will do it. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single person that watches these videos and that supports me. I appreciate you guys more than you know. And yeah, I'll see you guys next video.